Fuck yes, and welcome to the Uncultured Universe, the podcast where two friends show each other movies, TV, music, anything else just to get a little bit more cultured. I'm your host, Justin, and with me is the strikingly handsome devil himself in the uncultured hot seat, finding himself. This is Joe.
Some have called me a legend.
Some say parts of Joe are legendary.
Mhm.
Today, we are looking at the dreamy, ethereal, beloved classic that is Legend from 1985. Joe, you were the most oblivious to this movie up until last year, right?
Okay, we're just going to get right into it. Like, our promise for this podcast is the central core of what we tend to talk about is like one person has seen the movie, the piece of media, yada yada. The other person has not experienced, and so you get that feeling of one person reacting and experiencing it for the first time. It's never been as pure as this episode. We have maybe reached our apex in a way because before I've always known about the movies. Like I know
Sure.
what Gremlins is. I
Right. Yeah.
know like of Little Shop of Horrors. I did not
Totally.
know this movie existed um until you mentioned that you wanted to cover it.
Yeah.
And it has all the stars and it's a Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah, dude.
So Justin, tell me how this movie exists without existing in that way.
I mean, it's one of those like lost to time magic pieces of cinema. It was the perfect storm of Ridley Scott riding the wave of like Alien and Blade Runner, and a couple other things he did before this one. But he was riding high. Tom Cruise is this relative up and comer who
Mm-hmm.
just came fresh off the heels of Risky Business a couple years prior, and Mia Sara is also brand new to the scene. This is her first credit.
Insane.
Yeah, right. And then you get Tim Curry just fucking rounding it out with his theatrical background, this commanding presence. This insane movie comes together, and I can't wait to talk about it with you. And I'm so glad that like you had no idea about this coming in.
Listen, like we press play on the movie and immediately it is the longest scroll of text you've ever seen in your entire life.
Okay, so you
Um
saw, which we'll touch on this later. You watched
yes.
one of four versions that is
There
out
were
in the
so
wild.
many versions available. I think I saw the theatrical one.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. But yeah, before we get any further, this is again the uncultured universe, or is it just uncultured universe? Right, we're dropping the.
Drop the it's cleaner.
That's cleaner. Uh, uh, JT said that. Justin
Yeah.
Timberlake, not Sean Parker. Um, Yeah, Uncultured Universe. This is the first month of 2024, and we're doing the Tim Curry series. So we are putting a big, fat, sparkly red exclamation point on the end of that by doing this movie, which was my pick, as Joe said. Yeah, let's dive into some particulars, and then we'll get to some of your burning questions about
Yeah.
versioning and what was in Ridley Scott's mind as he crafted this.
Yeah,
Uh,
give me the backstory.
yeah. So directed by Ridley Scott, most known for Alien, The Martian, Blade Runner, Thelma and Louise, Black Hawk Down, Gladiator, Connection.
I
Uh,
had to that was my first note is we have a secret connection to our unreleased hidden first episode
that's right.
that may one day be released. We covered Gladiator. I think the episode was maybe 2.5 hours long,
Yeah, it was
and
entirely too long.
we were little bit babes figuring out what the structure of each episode was, and it took us until about episode 3 to figure that out. So Gladiator and Scream remain in the vaults and will be auctioned off for millions at one point.
Yeah, to the highest bidder.
But
We
glad
shall
to be returning to Ridley.
right to Scottville, and then most recently he did Napoleon with
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
He co-wrote this movie with William Jortsberg. Cinematography by Alex Thompson, who did Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of see some of those similarities there.
I can see that. Yeah.
100%. Alien 3, he did that one. That was directed by David Fincher. and Demolition Man with Sally B and Sly Stone.
I've never seen it.
Not Sly Stone, Sly Stallone.
Sly Stone.
The band.
Do you think he saw the Family Stone? He was like, "Hey guys, that's us."
Can you believe it? Yeah, so starring Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, Tim Curry, released April 18th, 1986 in America, released in 1985 in the UK, which we'll get to in a second. Music by Jerry Goldsmith, Jerry, who did the original score, which is in the European version, and the director's cut. But the alternate versions got a little bit different version by by a band called Tangerine Dream.
Where have I heard that before?
I don't know.
Okay.
You just know things, I guess.
I'll need to look it up. I feel like that is the version that I got. The version where like the music is beautiful and you always think a song is coming and then it never comes until the very end.
Yeah,
You have a song at the end of your version, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. There's some songs throughout. But yeah,
No, I just got the one.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then, yeah, the Tangerine Dream version is edging you the entire time by thinking you're going to get a song until you get the
Yeah.
very end, and it's good.
No movie has ever needed Enya more than this movie.
I know. Hi, yeah.
Yeah.
That would the entire it's like mid to late 90s 2 a.m. commercial of best
Where it's
American contemporary hits. Yeah.
Buy the box set for 3 installments of $19.99.
Yeah, but like everyone would stay up and watch that, and you're like, "Oh God, what time is it? It's 3 a.m. Oh no!" But everyone knows all the songs. It's got the greatest hits. It's amazing. But yeah, this movie could definitely play in the background to that. I think they sync up. You know what? Correct me if I'm wrong. They might sync up. Couple nominations for this movie.
Yeah.
The British Society of Cinematographers Award for Best Cinematography went to Alex Thompson for this movie. Very cool. I've never heard of that. I didn't know that was a thing. The British Society of Cinematographers Award.
These different little guilds, they each have their own little awards, and then they all come together as like a voting body for the Oscars. But they're all in their own circles in that way.
Checks out. Yeah, checks out. This movie also got nommed for an Oscar for Best Makeup.
I would believe it. The makeup in this is incredible.
So
this,
good.
I'll just say it. Like I'm usually somewhat cold or negative on some of these 80s movies. This movie looks incredible. This movie is like a painting.
It really is. It's very painterly. All of the sets were or most of like the forest sets where there's just like dust and cotton just blowing in the wind for no reason.
It looks like something out of like what's the Natalie Portman movie called? Not like Abomination, Annihilation.
Oh, Annihilation.
Did you ever see that?
I never saw that one.
It is very much like that, where it's kind of like they're in the Everglades, but it's very like alien vibes are around them, and it's very sunshiny, but also like maybe we shouldn't be breathing this air.
Right? Yeah, it's definitely they're in like a snow globe that someone just violently shook up.
So you think
all the time.
This is a set? This must be a set,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. A lot of the forest scenes were custom built sets.
God,
Ridley Scott wanted to do it like in the redwood forest out in California, but that was going to be too expensive. And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to build sets and we're going to film it in the UK on the 007 stage, which we've talked about before. That very famous soundstage at Pinewood Studios.
Do you think George Lucas walked by the studio and was like, "Hey, Ridley, you couldn't get the redwoods? Oh, that sucks, man." Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to build a whole planet over there.
Just scoffed at him and like spit on the ground and said, "I'm going to go
Ridley, you'll get there someday."
And I'm going to go do episode 1 and 2 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jumped into Spielberg's fucking convertible as they peeled ass out of there.
They like threw eggs on the set.
Yeah. Okay. 100% that is what happened. George Lucas slides across the hood of Steven Spielberg's like shiny red Corvette, gets into the driver's seat. Spielberg gives him a little smooch on the cheek, and they peel away.
The cinematographer has to hold Ridley back. Like, it's not worth it, man. They're just jerks.
I'm gonna get those fuckers one time. I'll tear them a new one. All right. Anyway, where
That's what
were
he
we?
sounds like.
Where were we? They were also nominated for a Saturn Award for Best Makeup, as well as a BAFTA, several BAFTA awards for Best Costume Design, Makeup Artist, and Special Visual Effects. This movie, is wild to look at. We already touched on the kind of the snow globiness, the just the makeup in
Mhm.
general. We're gonna definitely have our own Tim Curry corner, but like some of the other goblins and creatures in this movie, like impeccable, nightmare-inducing,
Yeah.
amazing makeup.
They look incredible. Especially in this era of makeup when you have these like heavily shrouded like demons and goblin-like creatures. Either like the mouth doesn't really line up correctly, the face looks like it's like disjointed a little bit, or the eyes don't like fit into the face. And but this like hits all of that perfectly.
Yeah.
Um and especially in the character of the little stooge goblin who we kind of follow for like the first 20 minutes of the movie, and
Oh
then
yeah.
he kind of drops off a little bit. I don't know what happened to him, and I got kind of sad.
No one knows.
But he looks incredible.
Yeah, Blix is
Blix.
the name of that little goblin creature. Really cool, like the overdubs that they did on the voice.
Yeah.
The actor behind the makeup and all that kind of stuff did really really well. I like how
The,
they look wet.
yeah. They're all like sweaty and kind of grimy, and like they're I I love that they're so like happy to be evil. Like it's very natural to them from the get-go. I was almost kind of on their side because I was like, he just wants it to be dark. Like he's not like trying to enslave humanity or anything. Um
I have a skin condition.
maybe they would, right? Like this he's trying to make the world ADA compliant. Um
He's
but
like,
like
there's this thing coming called global warming. I'm really just looking out for you guys. I'm trying to make it dark all the time.
seriously. But you mentioned the dubbing. It felt like 80% of the voices in at least my version were dubbed,
Yeah.
and it kind of gave it this like eerie ethereal quality in a way. I don't know how intentional it was, but like it was very storybookish. It was very much like narrated in that way.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it feels very like it's a tale out of time. It's obviously it's an old legend kind of a thing. You got
Mhm.
the Lord of Darkness fighting against the world with these mythical, magical unicorns and all that kind of stuff. It feels like a fairy tale, and like someone's voice could be doing that. That's a neat kind of pickup.
I mean,
Um,
it I of course have like my big theory that I'd like to present about this movie. And it starts with I'll get to it. I won't do it right off the bat here, but like a lot of this movie almost feels, and this isn't a negative, but it feels like you AI generated like a fantasy movie in the 80s. Like there's a lot of like archetypes here. Like
yeah,
you like Tom Cruise may as well be called like hero boy. Mia Sarah may as well be called hero girl, right? And so it's I say that, but it's not like a generic movie in any way. There's something very different and kind of
mm.
fascinating about this.
Go on. Like I'd love to hear about it. Like I think it is something kind of intangible about it.
Do you want
If
me to just like
just launch into it.
shoot my load and
Shoot your wad all over
give you
this
my
podcast.
thesis now?
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out um what was like enticing about this movie because
Mm.
like Tom Cruise as a character in this movie, maybe not the most interesting. None of the characters are really like fleshed out in a way, but at the same time, they don't really behave like humans. It's very much driven like by emotion. And I wouldn't necessarily include Tim Curry in this because we can have a whole Tim Curry discussion. That's part of
Yes.
the miniseries, but he's doing something completely different. But like apart from the non Tim Curry apart from the Tim Curry scenes, the closest thing I could think of to what this movie is a ballet. So like
Ooh.
if you think of something like Black Swan, how it's all just like archetypes. It's like you are an adjective almost.
Right.
And so you get these like two hero characters that are described as like they're just pure, they're just innocent, and they never really have to deal with any sort of like reckoning of the soul or anything like that. You have these like side characters that are first name supporting last name character, you know? And so it's not necessarily these characters going on inner journeys, but they just have to express outwardly everything that they're feeling. We're not going to have some sort of like case study about the inner workings or thoughts of these characters. It's all on the table, and it's very much like open for the audience in the same way like a ballet, a dance, and an opera maybe would be. It seems like this is almost just filmed on stage, and you're just dealing with these forces of emotion clashing against each other. And it's not, I don't know if abstract is the correct like artistic term for it. It's not like abstract, it's not non-objective, but it is very much inhuman in the way that it's only emotion, you know?
Capital IT it. Yeah. It is
Right.
it's definitely loosely structured in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. It is more
It feels
you know,
interpretive.
it's interpretive, it's esoteric, it's that kind of thing. It's you know, it's kind of, you just open for however you see it, and it feels very, like you said, I'm loving your read on it. Like it is a tale being
Mm-hmm.
told. So it doesn't need hardened beginning, middle, and end with definite character arcs. It is just the tale of good versus evil, light versus dark,
Mm-hmm.
innocence versus corruption. But all the while, just like it's kind of unconscious. It's kind of like if someone told you to dream about these concepts, this is what your unconscious brain would like
Yeah.
barf out.
Yeah.
It plays like a dream. It feels like a dream.
I mean, that's where I'm saying like I just noticed both of our names are Joe on this screen. Hilarious. That's where I'm saying like the AI nature of it comes into being, and that has such a negative connotation these days. But what I'm thinking is like it's like it takes in all of the influences of the fantasy elements that came before it as a movie, and just like it creates its own world, but it's all like painted with the colors of these movies that came before, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
it's very fever dreamy in that way of
yeah.
like you need a big red dark billowing smoke, and then the opposite side is very bright, filled with glittering bullshit everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the comparisons that you draw to this are immediate. If you look at the time, you know, you look at Labyrinth, you look at Willow, you
Mm-hmm.
look at Neverending Story, like all those contemporaries play a part in kind of like the 80s had like where it was high time for high fantasy, you know?
Yeah, those. I mean, the ones that you just said are the big ones, right?
Yeah.
And they're the ones that you think of when watching this movie. Willow, in particular, for me, that was the one I grew up with. So that's like a Ron Howard movie. You watch that. Excuse me. You watch that, and it's more of like an actual fleshed out like story with like rising, falling actions. All these characters going through like actual like moral ups and downs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's some complexity there, but on like a even on like a color level, it's a little bit like washed out, just because like it's going for a little bit more of like a grimy look. And then this movie Legend is like it it does look like a painting. It looks like a fairy style.
It's hazy. It's
The
hazy
lights
in
are
a way.
light, you know.
Yeah, it's like you're watching a memory of someone trying to play back the
Yeah.
story themselves.
Yeah.
And
I think one of
we
my
could
thoughts while watching it was like this could all be like a flashback. This is how a flashback is filmed.
yeah, you could have a flashback, or it could cut over to Ben Savage and an old man, and it's
Yeah.
Princess Bride style. And be like, and then that's where they kissed, and then that's the story's over. Um, like, what do you mean that's the end? Well, that's the version you got, kid. I want to jump over to that section here in a bit, as soon as you're done giving me the plot to Legend.
Yeah, I'm glad we're trying to like tackle the plot earlier and earlier in these episodes, because it gets insane if we don't actually give it.
And
Okay,
when we're done and you do a good job, I'm gonna cheers you, and we're gonna talk about our cocktails before the very end.
let's just get them all out.
Yeah, let's just get it all out. Okay.
Okay.
Joe is going to give the plot to 1985/86 Legend, starring Tom Cruise and Tim Curry, Mia Sarah. 3, 2,
Mhm.
1, go.
Okay, Tom Cruise plays Jack. He is like a wood boy who lives in the fairy woods. Mia Sara is Lily. She's a princess of an unknown kingdom. They have like a love affair. These unicorns also exist in the woods, and they somewhat control like the flow of nature. And Tom Cruise shows Lily the unicorns, and it's forbidden. And these goblins who work for the evil darkness villain nearby, who's trying to release darkness upon the world, also use this as an opportunity to essentially capture one of the unicorns. It's cut its horn off, which releases a curse of frozenness upon the land. Plot happens. They have to go and kill darkness in order to undo this curse. Lily gets captured by darkness. There's a bit of like a Beauty and the Beast vibe for half a second. Darkness is played by Tim Curry, and he just wants to like fulfill his purpose in a way. And they defeat him with sunlight very elaborately. And they literally just run off into the sunlight. There's a band of woodland creatures who are also with Tom
They're
Cruise.
helpers. Yeah. Well done, Joe. It's the plot wise, story wise, two different things, but the general arc of the movie is very deceivingly simple, right? It's magical unicorn, holds the innocence and the light of the world.
There are 2 locations in this movie, 3 if you count that footage.
Up and down, and then in the middle there's like the lake.
There's a swamp. Yeah,
there's also a swamp, which we'll talk about here in a second, because I fucking love that scene. It's light versus dark. They gotta go take the light back, and what is the opposite of dark? It's light, and that's how you defeat it. It's very bing bang boom, very simple, but like with weird little twists and turns. Super fun. Well done, Joe. Cheers to you. You doing good, kid.
Yeah, thank you. What do you got? I think we both went in a similar direction once again.
I have this is the Devil's Margarita.
Yep.
It's tequila, fresh squeezed lime juice, simple syrup, and floated with a little bit of red wine on top. It was floated. It didn't do so hot while drinking it. But in each of the mixtures, I added edible glitter because there's so much fucking glitter in this movie.
Yeah, it's a very glittery movie. Cheers. I went in a similar direction, courtesy of Jonathan. I have what we're calling Me and the Devil. And so it is 1 part Campari, 2 parts vodka, 3 parts vermouth, half a part grenadine, and then garnished with a Luxardo cherry speared upon a very pointy skewer.
Just precise. That is the only way. I love that you're working those Luxardo cherries into everything.
This is the only way we'll get through them. Yes.
Yeah, you must get through them. We paid $8 for these. Damn it.
Yeah. Very Negroni vibes.
Yeah, I love that. Very different vibes, but like similar neighborhoods. Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. What do you got?
I think it says something that we were both drawn to the devil aspect of this movie because that's obviously the curry part. It's the reason why we're here. But before we have curry time, go on. Do you have any other thoughts that we should cover here?
Yeah, definitely. We'll tackle the let's talk about the many versions of this movie and the soundtrack and score. So there are 4 distinct cuts of this movie. There's the original European cut, 94 minutes. The American theatrical release was 89 minutes. The network TV version, which was 94 minutes. And then the director's cut coming in at a whopping 113 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It's a long story, like how he came about this. Just before they released it in the American market, with some test audiences, they were kind of talking about the original score of like, hey, this isn't really vibing, and he's like, fine, fuck it. You know what? Let's cut Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack, and I'm going to commission this artist that I think it's 2.
Lucas and Spielberg drive by and they're like, Scott, heard your score didn't work out. That sucks, man.
Oh man. Hey,
you want to borrow John Williams for a day? You can't.
Yeah. He's in the back and he's like he's tied up. Shut up. He's like the gimp.
Go on, go on.
Go on. So they commissioned the band Tangerine Dream. They gave them, I think, 3 weeks to do the whole score,
Very cool.
or soundtrack score, for the American theatrical release, which is why it's the 85, 86 release. Um, yeah, they are a German electronic artist. Some diehards of this cult classic movie claim that that is the superior version.
Hmm. I
Um,
think the American theatrical is what I must have watched.
yeah, because that's the telltale is the opening scroll.
Hmm.
Very much, they're like, "Hey, cool, you got the opening scroll? Yeah, never heard of that."
Oh, that's cute.
We'll see you in court, bud. But cult purists, which the kids that saw this movie in theaters saw it with the Tangerine Dream score, hold it true, and compared to the original, they say it is better. I think it's a different vibe. Director's cuts, often do that.
Hmm.
Case in point, most recently with Zack Snyder and his Justice League cut.
Yeah.
I think his cut is way better than the theatrical release. Um, but that's neither here nor there. I like the Tangerine Dream score more because it fits better, but I'm not shitting on Jerry's Jerry, his
Listen,
uh, his
Jerry.
his score. It's good. It services it really well, but it feels sort of generic just because it's a typical orchestral kind of a thing. But Tangerine Dream has like the synths and the of the time, the 80s sounds to it. And it's a
Yeah.
little more tender. It's a little more um I don't know. I guess tender is the right word for it. It's
It's very hazy like the screen is. It's very
yeah.
love story between our two dumb little lovebirds.
Those fucking dumb kids. And so apart from the 4 distinct cuts of the film, there are several different endings, Joe. One of which, this is the US theatrical one. This is the one you watched, where Lily and Jack run off together, watching the unicorns reunite, and darkness watches from the void.
I did see that. I think every single movie should end with the entire cast waving goodbye to camera.
Yes.
Like they and like linger on that for about 30 seconds because I loved that.
Way longer than is needed. Yeah.
I wanted them to be like, yeah, we'll be back in your dreams if you remember us, and then they like all fade away. Kind of, it was
Yeah.
all a dream.
Yeah. And then Tim Curry just laughing in the background. And then
Yeah,
the last thing being, it should have been, but darkness will return.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. There is no darkness without light, and vice versa. Like, I guess there could be pure darkness, but like if you have light, you're gonna have darkness.
Yeah. You're going to cast
And
some
so
shadows.
he's always gonna come back. You
Yeah.
can't really eliminate him. You can just like keep him at bay.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just keep shining light on him because he's really sensitive. He doesn't have his sunscreen. The European theatrical version, which is the original cut, is the same ending as the US version, but without the darkness bit at the end.
Mhm.
They kind of just like, no, he's in the void. It's like whatever. The
That does
direct,
speak. I keep interrupting you. That speaks to like American style of filmmaking. Even back then, is like let's leave a little back door open for a sequel just in case.
hey, Ridley Scott did say that he thinks European artists or audiences are a little more. They require a little more panache, which is why
Ooh.
his European cut, has a little more of that ambiguous ending and stuff like that.
Mhm.
American audiences demand a little more simple, which is fair. We're dumb. Um, the director's cut, which is the version I watched, because the DVD that I own is the director's cut. Lily and Jack don't run off together. They decide to keep things casual. You know, she gives him her ring and she's like, Remember me by this, just remember me always." And he's like, "Okay." And he puts it on. She's like, "Can I come back tomorrow?" He's like, "Yeah, come back tomorrow. We'll hang out." And then
That's kind of sweet.
only Jack runs off into the distance.
Oh,
Just Jack by himself back into the woods. He's like, "Well, see you later." It's weird. It's a weird ending. I like where they end up together.
yeah. I mean, they're clearly like dating, but you also get like friend vibes from them. I don't know. I don't know how old they are. I don't know where they are. I don't know anything about this movie other than it's a vibes movie.
It's vibes. It's vibes and glitter, and that's all you need. Um, so speaking of those two characters, well, let's jump over to the performances for a quick bit, and then we'll get to the Tim Curry of it
hmm
all. So yeah, so obviously this is just a silly kind of off the wall movie in a sense,
hmm
and the performances illustrate as such. Starting with, but not limited to, the names of the characters are all over the map and are insane to me. You get Brown Tom and Screwball, the little like dwarven elf
Yep.
woodland nymph kind of guys. They
The fun little old brothers. Yeah.
yeah, definitely Hobbit dwarf vibes,
hmm
which like they totally could have pulled off a Lord of the Rings live action in the 80s with shit like that. Like that would have ripped, I
Yeah.
think. Would have looked great. Honeythorn Gump with that Frankie Muniz looking motherfucker.
So
Um,
I was watching it with our friend, and she fully like she called it. She was like, "Oh, that's Frankie Muniz," and I had to
you're
kind of like
like,
look it up later. I was
yeah,
like,
what's that?
"Wait, do the timelines line up for that to be Frankie Muniz?" I mean, it's like it's
He
some
was like one.
Scandinavian actor. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Frankie Muniz was like not even born when this movie came out. Blix, the one of the coolest goblins. I love that he speaks in rhyme. Only
Yes.
him, no one else does. And it's so cool. Like it's kind of silly at first, but then you're like, that's kind of rad.
And he kind of like provides the comic relief. He's got these little one-liners where he kind of stands up to the Dark Lord, where he's just like, you gonna tell me what to do or not?" Or like, I like to they have initiative and I like to encourage them, my lord. He's
Yeah,
like a little manager of his goblin team. Like he
it's
has to
great.
like process time cards and stuff.
Yeah. A couple of my favorite rhymes that he says is, mortal world turn to ice. Here be goblin paradise.
Right. Like, do they want things cold? Because it's like there's fire all over the place in their little hideout.
I mean,
I don't know.
That's light technically, but like
Right.
not light from the sun. The light from fire is cool. Light from like fusion, not cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a very anti-nuclear propaganda message.
Another cool character name is Una. Una the
Mhm.
fairy. Very
Listen,
cool. Like Tinkerbell vibes.
that is a piece that I wanted more of. It got very interesting when the fairy turned from like a little light speck into a little girl who also wants to like really get it on with Tom Cruise. And I was like, wait, is she kind of evil? Because she's kind of antagonizing when she's like a little light speck. Yeah, she
Hmm.
helps them, and it's like Navi and Zelda or like little
Yeah.
Tinkerbell.
Listen.
And then yeah, hey, and then she like shows her true form to Tom Cruise, which is just like a fairy girl. But then you realize like it's supposed to be a secret that she's a girl. And then when she finally reveals herself to the other teams, they like are shocked and she's kind of like they're against her. It's
Fuck
very weird.
yeah, when she turns Gump, like fucking hisses at her.
Yeah, I want to know what the history is there. I wanted more of that, but then she very much seems like she's about to like curse them and stuff, but then she just kind of helps them out of the cell
Yeah,
and goes back to little light speck. I wanted more. I
I
wanted
wanted
more of
more
that.
too. I
Yeah.
wanted more too. Yeah, it is definitely interesting. Her like crazy, like just licked my finger and stuck it in the socket hair is
hmm
so iconic and cool. And her like wild blue eyes
Yeah. And
are
she wants a
nuts.
kiss, which you never
So bad.
give to a fairy. Don't ever give them anything.
Don't you know anything? Like, don't go into like a fungus circle in the woods. Don't
Yeah.
speak your name. Like, there's a whole fairy lore about
hmm
that, which is very cool to see. And then just rounding out the names, we go from like super cool fantasy world made up names to Jack,
Jack.
Lily, and then it's like, well, I mean, I guess why
Jack and
not?
Lily in Darkness. I want like a trio of little kid Halloween costumes. That's Jack, Lily, and Darkness. You have little Wood Zelda boy, you have Princess Girl, and then you have Horn Devil.
Horn Devil Man. Super cool. And then my favorite character in the entire movie, Meg Mucklebones.
is that the swamp lady?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Tell me,
Meg Mucklebones.
yeah, tell me more there. What's going on? What do you love?
She's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It is a horrifying scene, but it is done so well and it's done practically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that scene in particular is like Jack's first run in with that's his first challenge. That's his first hurdle.
Yeah.
His first time swinging a sword, and he's like not so sure of himself, but physically he's not sure of himself, but he relies on his wit, and he's like shamelessly flirting with this swamp witch monster lady, and it
Right.
works. But like her long fingers have always stuck with me, and just the way she was able to like emote this stuff is so funny and
Yeah,
amazing.
she springs out of the bubbly water and her arms already look like they have like 10 more joints than normal. She's got like this like praying mantis kind of look. It is a great look. And then he cuts her head off at some point.
Yeah, like by distracting her, by getting her to like gaze at her reflection in his shield, and
Everyone
then
wants to kiss Jack.
he's got kissable lips.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, that's not to say that like, that was definitely her downfall. Like you kiss Jack, you get whacked.
Yeah.
Kiss
Lily
Jack,
needs
you
to
get whacked.
watch out.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Tom Cruise for a second. In this role, he is all teeth, thighs, and hair. That is all you get.
I'm glad we brought up the thighs because
Fucking
there
thighs.
there is a moment in this film where they essentially the winter has come. We have to save the remaining unicorn. We have to go defeat darkness. They answer the call to action. And so Gump, his little forest elf friend, says, "Hey, we've got this like suit of armor randomly in this cave over here. Why don't you go try it on?" And you're like, okay, now we have like our iconic. He's suited up. He's gonna pull out his lightsaber, his sword, all that good stuff, and we're gonna go charge into battle. He comes out in a gold, kind of like scaly overpiece, a sword, shield, no pants,
No pants.
nothing going on there. He's wearing like what I'm assuming are like cloth shorts and then boots.
Yep.
It's a cheap shot to say all I could think of was like Reno 911 sheriff, but like that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I applaud the film in every way, to be clear, for going for that.
Yeah, he probably came to Ridley Scott and was like, "Hey, so when did the pants come in? From wardrobe?" And Ridley Scott's like, "Son, there ain't no pants. There ain't no pants in this movie.
Hey,
Ran out of
Scott,
budget."
heard you couldn't afford pants.
I love this bit. I love this bit that keeps going. This is great. We'll do a super cut of it.
It's like
Um,
Mark Hamill's in the back now, and he like throws paint at them.
Hey, had to go, kid. Way to go, kid. You really got him with that paint. Like, did I do good, Mr. Lucas? Yeah. You did. Settle down. And he gently like strokes his cheek. Yeah. We're making George Lucas out to be a fucking creep. He very well may be, but I don't know. He's probably.
Yeah, this episode's really gonna make waves and get back to him.
I love it. His boyish charm comes through. Again, this is like his fifth movie that he ever did.
Right.
But it works. Like he's iconic in this one to me. This is my first memory of Tom Cruise as well.
He doesn't speak for a while, and I was like, "Oh, are they going like full Zelda Forest lad?" And he's just going to be like the silent type, and then he just like talks in an American accent, like it's normal.
Yeah.
What do you think his role is, just as a human? Is he like a human raised by fairies or something?
Yeah, there's
Like
something magical about him in a sense, but like not quite like woodland fairy creature. He's just a boy of the wood. He just
right,
lives in the woods. But he's wild, and that's why he kind of crawls around on all fours like a chimp. Because he lives out in the trees and sings to the bird. He speaks rabbit and squirrel and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think of it as like a human that they found in like a basket as a baby, and now he has adopted the woods, and vice versa. And
yeah.
Now he is wooing the princess of the neighboring
I think
town, I guess.
Yeah, all right. I think she just came across it's Tarzan vibes in a sense, George of the
Yes,
Jungle
very
kind of
much.
style of just like I came across this wild man in the woods and I want me a piece of that kind of a thing.
I don't mind the lack of backstory. Like, let's just get into it.
Yeah, right. Like
Um,
you don't want to see the meet cute and all that stuff. She's like, I'm gonna go see Jack, and she's like, What are you gonna show me today, Jack? And he's like, I'm gonna go show you some fucking unicorns. It's awesome, but don't
she's like,
touch them.
Jack, you're such a great friend. You're like my brother.
And he's like, All right. Well, okay. Um, I'm gonna shock you with some of these other considerations for the role of Jack. Tell me which one shocks you the most: Johnny Depp,
Okay.
Jim Carrey, Robert Downey Jr.
Wow.
Considered for
Um,
the role. All considered for this role.
I can't picture Robert Downey Jr. playing like Forest Boy, so probably that. Jim Carrey, I can see him doing like the physicality. And Johnny Depp seems like the pick opposite Cruise back then.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Robert
Uh,
Downey Jr. I just don't consider a part of that group.
See, back in the '80s, though, Downey Jr. he had the unibrow going for him, which would have definitely read as
Lot of unibrow in this movie. Very
yeah,
bold.
very bold brows, which I'm glad to see made a comeback. He did his own swimming stunts. Tom Cruise is going to Tom Cruise. He was doing it as early as this, which
Hmm.
is really cool. Um,
A lot of diving into pools. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, let's see. Mia Sara, first on the scene. This is her first acting credit. The year after she did Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Uh-huh.
Good for her.
She is great in this.
She's
Like she
good.
is very good. I mean, the obvious like comparison is to another movie we watched, which is Labyrinth, and you have Jennifer Connelly in there kind of playing like this dark-haired woman in white navigating this crazy world. Jennifer Connelly kind of stays, I'm not going to say like one note, but she's very level keel the entire movie, whereas like Mia Sara, I wasn't expecting to go the places it went, because she's this like princess archetype. She gets captured at some point with the remaining unicorn and finds herself in the darkness castle slash tree, whatever we want to call it. It's this like dungeony place, and then the movie takes a fascinating turn,
Mm.
because you find out, like, we can get into the darkness of it all.
Yes, let's get
Darkness
there.
is this like horned devil creature who you I mean, like, through no fault of his own, falls for Mia Sara's princess character, and he's immediately like, oh, like I want to turn her, I want to bring her over to the dark side so that she can essentially like rule with me. Um and so instead of like her kind of like playing Princess Peach and just being like immediately no, and I'll wait for Mario to come save me, like it becomes this like dark night of the soul, dark dance,
It
which
is.
literally becomes a dance where these like very interesting looking like characters appear to her in whatever dungeon she is in after she kind of runs around the basement of this castle.
Mhm.
And there's like this like waltz with the devil that happens. It's very interpretive, it's very metaphorical, and she goes from this like white wearing dress into, she essentially like merges with this like darker character and becomes this like darker princess.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it to go that way, and she sells this performance. It's the black swan of it all, right?
it
It's
really
like
is.
she's giving pure innocence, but then she's also giving like sultry temptress once she essentially gets taken over by darkness.
Yeah, which is really cool. I love that scene of like the dress come to life, kind of
Hmm.
like dancing, flirting
It
with her.
looked incredible.
Yeah. I mean, like they went hard for
Yeah.
this movie with the effects and like it's all practical. Like it's practically done and it's so cool. But yeah, like when she does the turn and she's like in the dark makeup and the deep cut of the dress and she's just like
I
embodying
know.
it and you're like, is she
You
gonna
get
wave
like
her? Is she not?
center boob is what you get. Yeah.
Yeah, uniboob for sure. You think like, is she going to turn? Is she not? She's sticking to her guns, but like you can see the battle of like temptation kind of wavering through her,
Yeah.
through a lot of it. And then you get the super cool scene of, and this is the introduction to it, of Tim Curry like coming through the mirror
Hmm.
and his sparkly fucking hoof just comes.
His little Krampus foot.
Yeah, it just steps out, and it is amazing. Um, so here's a little background why I chose this movie. This is my earliest memory of a movie, period.
Oh
Um,
hell yeah, Justin! We have
I
finally found it.
Yeah, this is my nexus point. I don't remember where I saw it. I don't remember how. I don't remember if we rented it or if we owned it or whatever. But like, I always remember like this is the first it, memory of my mind of like, okay, that's what a movie is. This is what a movie soundtrack kind of sounds like. Like the music from it always like the way I described it as a kid growing up to myself was like the music just sounds true.
Hmm.
And like there's some cute little innocent innocence and truth about that too. Um but like I always have that vision of like the foot and just like the red giant horns, even without the face, really. Um, and then just like the ethereal dreaminess of it. So this was my like first core memory of what a movie is. And it's so cool that like it's tied to Tim Curry, where he's playing like the fucking like iteration of the devil.
It it is a movie that wears its heart on its sleeve almost like admirably, right? It's never trying to like wink at the camera. It's never trying to be sarcastic in a way that like a Marvel movie these days would be. Like
Oh yeah, it's so
the
serious.
the good is good and when it becomes bad, it's bad and the bad is always bad. Like it's not like I mean, let's get into the Tim Curry of it all. Like his character of darkness is introduced for like a scene and a half at the beginning of the movie. Like you get him kind of like essentially being bored and without purpose in his like tree castle because he has to stay there because it's always dark, and so he sends out his goons to go kill the unicorns
Yeah.
to erase the sun from the sky essentially. And so immediately he's launching into this like Shakespearean soliloquy about how he is just evil and he's trying to fulfill his dark purpose and he's so lonely. And then the movie boldly like does not come back to him for a good
A
hour.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last 20 minutes of the movie are his essentially. And
Yeah.
so
He commands the scenes that he's in though. And
he's
because it's
not he's not the comedic element really, which
right.
we're so used to with Curry.
He's the opposing force, which we get a taste of in, comparison, and we'll talk about this in a second, the Cardinal Richelieu,
Hmm.
of this villainous, vile, s- seeped in red kind of character. And he plays a really good villain.
Hmm.
And it's just, you cannot take his eyes off of him in any of the scenes. Even though like it doesn't look like Tim Curry at all. At all. He is lost in the makeup, but
Yeah.
that is fine because even though they pitched his voice way down, still has his speaking cadence, and it's still just oozing that sexiness about it.
Well, I was wondering, he's obviously wearing like a cake's worth of makeup. Is it him in the costume or is he like a dub? Because they did dub so much of this movie.
This man went through 5.5 hours of makeup every day, his entire body being encased in makeup and effects.
Yeah.
So much makeup that he had to spend an hour plus in the bath just to liquefy all the goop and like liquid adherent agent on his body.
My God.
He went through it. He was on 18-inch stilts on his feet, learning to walk on stilts and run. That's him running. Um, and then he had those giant 3-foot fiberglass horns attached to
Oh,
his
wow.
head and like a bracing thing on his neck that went down his back, and like full body suit and all this kind of stuff. Homeboy went through it.
Yeah,
But
I just
it
want
is,
to know like the weight of all of this.
I have no idea how heavy it was to carry around, but like enough for him to like emote and walk around and fucking swing a sword.
Yeah.
which is cool. But yeah, so from hoof to horn tip, he was about 13 feet tall. This
Yeah.
massive, like I would. So first of all, side note, like if God and the devil are real, God, I hope the devil looks like this. Like so fucking cool. Like just this giant hulking figure is so just amazing and iconic.
It is like a classic devil look. It's what you get when you Google devil. I mean, these days in a movie, it's going to be a lot more edgy. It's going to be some old woman who's saying "fuck" and that's the devil. But no, this is like the absolute like devil archetype, like maxed out to 100.
Even though he's not like really like the devil, like Satan
Right.
or Lucifer or whatever, he is the Lord of Darkness, and he's like, I don't know who he's praying to or talking to when he's talking about mother and father and stuff like that. Like, who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. It's so cool, and I
Just
love that they
the
don't
the
answer.
old gods.
Yeah, you don't need it answered. He's not really like the devil. He's more like a fawn in a sense. Like he's got the
He's
hoofs and the
he's a fawn. He's a little Hellboy.
he's fawn as hell though.
Yeah.
His just
He's kind
performance
of fine as hell,
a
if we're being
fawn as
honest.
hell. Yeah. The like there's the scene when he's just trying to convince Lily to just like stay and talk with me. And
Yeah.
he's like leaning against the table, just like super casual. And it's like, that's fucking rad. Why is that so rad?
I mean, it's very Phantom of the Opera. It's very Beauty and the Beast, kind of like this
Mhm.
idea of like he's a devil, but he's a gentleman, and like
He'll treat you right, kind of.
his purpose in life is to be the bad guy, and that's why he's the bad guy. But he also like has wants and needs of his own, and he essentially has manners, right? He's very learned.
He's very
All this comes down to maybe I want a version of this movie where she stays with him and we get to see their story. Like, would that be the worst thing? He doesn't seem like he wants to like hurt her.
he seems like he'll be good for her, you know? Like she's
He's
looking
got a
for something. He's
rockin'
got
body.
oh, dude, rock hard. This dude rules. Yeah, so we already talked about it, like how he's on screen for like maybe 20 minutes, if that, maybe
Yeah.
15. Um, so hardly at all comparatively through the whole, which regardless of what cut you watch. But that's the visual that sticks with you in the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the performance that most people can really think of. Just because it's not just the work that went into because a ton of work did, yes, for the makeup and all that kind of stuff, but he was still able to put on a fucking like incredible performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
They
and I'm
left
not,
some room in the face and obviously with his voice, and that's kind of where he shines.
yeah, like he wanted to have his eyes not be covered up, but they were like, no, dude, fuck that. We're gonna put these really cool, terrifying yellow contacts in your eyes to make you look like a goat monster, and it's
Yeah.
way cool.
I love that. I also love the early scenes where it's just like pure darkness and it's essentially like a black light. So his nails and his eyes are glowing, but they're like lime green in a
Yeah.
way. And so you don't get like the full shrouded in fire red effect. It's mostly like you're playing laser tag with the devil.
Mhm.
And that also looks very cool, but in a very different way. It's like black and lime as opposed to like red and gold.
Yeah, very cool. I love it so much. It's such a neat stylistic choice.
Mhm.
There were so many stylistic choices in this movie, and they all sing. They all fucking sing um, so well. So I had this little bit in here that I want to talk about before we get to the end game. Um, let's look at the two movies we talked about for this Tim Curry series. Your pick from 1993, The Three
Mhm.
Musketeers, and this one from 1985, uh, Legend. So looking at Richelieu versus Darkness, the two performances. Um, I mean, I already kind of hinted at it. You know, they are both fucking slaying in red.
Mhm.
He knows his color. Um, both characters are like dramatic, theatrical, vying for power in a way. But both also still pretty like forthcoming and sexy, right?
Tim Curry's gonna play a villain, but he's also going to strike a silhouette. Like you're gonna
Oh,
know.
he's serving cunt,
Yeah.
for sure. Um, yeah, so there's while there's not a lot of space for darkness to kind of move around and explore quite as much as we see Richelieu, like literally moving from scene to scene and kind of like flowing with his fucking cape and stuff like that. He is still imposing and terrifying all his own. I mean, it may be because he is a 13-foot demon monster, but it's still cool to watch.
With sick abs.
Sick, ripped heart. I mean, that's not to say Richelieu probably also had abs too.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he was hiding an 8-pack under there.
He throws it off for the final battle, and he's just like jacked
and like glistening and smooth. Yeah, like unexplained, because it's like it's France. All you get cheese and wine, and he's like, yeah, it's exactly.
Come fight my god abs.
Richelieu, I think, is also just as terrifying, but in a more like real, obviously human way.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's more terrifying in a sense.
And he is a lot of like the comedic force in the Three Musketeers, whereas in Legend, Darkness really is like a I don't know if it's like a tragic villain. I feel like if we had more time with him, he doesn't seem to have like a grudge against humanity in a way. It's mostly like he has this like urge to shroud the world in darkness because it's his purpose and he can't fight his destiny.
Yeah, he's like Loki in that way, right? He's burdened with shit, what is it? With glorious purpose. He's burdened with glorious purpose. He has this thing that he has to do, and he's just like, hey man, sorry about it. Like
Yeah.
I hate the light, love the dark, so I'm
I'm
gonna turn the
sorry you
light.
didn't want to be my bride and live with me in my castle.
Yeah,
Go have
sorry.
fun in the woods.
Sorry, I have offended you with my friendship. So Joe, out of the two, Richelieu and Darkness, who would you rather pet sit for?
Who would I pet sit for?
Yeah,
Like
who would
I'm
you
pet
get
sitting them or I'm pet sitting their house?
their house, their respective pets? They call you up like, hey Joe, can you come pet sit this weekend?
Tell me what the pets are.
So Richelieu has like a hairless cat. Um, and I'm gonna say Darkness probably has just like a really breathy, mouthy pug.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But he loves them.
everybody loves him.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
I'll pet sit for Richelieu. I want to hang out in the palace.
Oh, right. Like lots of room to run. You know that there's like a cat wing. Yeah,
Yeah.
super fun.
Little kitty.
Let's see. Okay, let's say you double booked a night on the town with both of them. Fuck, you messed up your calendar. You're booked for the same time slot to go hang out on opposite sides of the city. Who do you call to let down and go party with the other?
Oh fuck. I will. Ooh. I'll call Richelieu to let him down and go party with Darkness, but I'll tell him where we're partying because I feel like he will be so offended by that he'll want to come over and like plot revenge against me, and that's where I'll like be like, Richelieu, have you met Darkness? And then they get it on.
Oh, in
Yeah.
front of you? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I love the way you do that. This is just the last little silly one. This is kind of a warm up for Endgame.
I love it.
Let's say one of them calls you out of the blue, asking for a quick Venmo of $300, no questions asked. Who do you give it to without hesitation?
Oh, Darkness. Richelieu's set up some sort of like virus thing where he gets the 300, but he also gets access to my bank accounts. Darkness, I feel, has like an honor code that he lives by and will pay me back with interest, even if the interest is like blood vials.
Yeah. Yeah, Richelieu is trying to like contain his laughter.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just click on the link and send me $300. It's gonna be fine. Oh, that's good. I love that. So, Joe, what are some of your final thoughts on 1985's Legend?
It surprised me. Again, you walk into the first couple minutes of this movie and you're like, okay, this is fairy tale the movie. This is 80s fantasy the movie. But no, it goes in some interesting directions. I mean, Tom Cruise and friends do go on a more of a typical hero rescue mission. They
Right.
spend about 30 minutes setting up mirrors. It's nothing but setting up mirrors for like the last half of this movie.
It's a lot of
But
setup.
once Tim Curry gets into it and he kind of has his scenes with Mia Sara, credit to Curry, like those are the moments that really shine for me with this
Yeah.
movie, where I'm just like, I'm kind of waiting on the edge of my seat. I don't know what crazy thing is going to happen next, because in this movie it feels like anything could happen,
How
which
could you
is
ever know? Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's what you want out of a movie like this.
Yeah,
Of just like, I'm ready to be surprised. Fucking surprise me.
I don't
Um,
need structure. I don't need a plot.
I'm an adult. Like, I can read. Like, let me do my thing. Um, of the two movies, do you think this was a good cross section of Tim Curry's career?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to find an interesting movie where Tim Curry isn't playing the villain in a way, even if we're talking like Rocky Horror. But
Mhm.
I think on the Tim Curry villainy scale, we did pick the more showy comedic side versus the more showy Shakespearean side. And so you
Yeah.
get those two parts that seem kind of foundational to him.
Mhm. Yeah. I think these were great picks as well. Very different, very indicative of the individuals.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm glad you let it drop that this is kind of your first movie memory, because this time last year we were talking first and mine was Bug's Life, and so we're really kind of bookending the year in that way. Bug's
yeah,
Life and Legend.
that's how we do it, you know?
Double feature that.
Double fist it.
Yeah.
So fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of these where we kind of look at the actor, the performer, the writer, the
Mhm.
director, and kind of stuff as we move about 2024 at Uncultured Universe. So, Joe, that was Legend. So much fun. I'm glad you were tickled by it. I really wasn't sure how you were gonna receive it
Yeah.
because it is so wacky and weird. I'm glad that you just let it wash over you and you just went on vibes.
It's different, I'm into it.
All right, so we're gonna move into the end here of end games, and we're gonna wrap up. Let's see what this is all about.
Legends, it's the legends of the legendary legends. 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 It's the legends of the legendary.
With that shot, I forgot that he also has like really tiny nips. He's got
Yeah,
teeny little nips, little
I
devil
didn't
nips.
forget.
I never forget a nip. Joe, we're playing Legends, the Legend of the Legendary Legends game. There's a lot of media out there that feature the word legend in some capacity. I'm going to ask you questions and give you multiple choice. Are you ready, Joe? Do you get it? You get what we're doing here?
I absolutely get it, yeah.
Wonderful. Number one, right off the bat, what sports film from the year 2000 starring Will Smith was an infamous box office bomb that was about the game of golf and loosely based on the Hindu sacred text, the Bhagavad Gita?
I'd like to solve the puzzle. This is The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Amazing. Well done. Didn't even need the multiple choice. Well done,
Insane
Joe.
movie.
Yeah, I never saw it. Um, Question two. What Nickelodeon game show from the 90s featured a fictitious temple filled with lost treasures protected by mysterious Mayan temple guards?
I've never seen this and I don't understand the structure of it, but this is Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Oh my God, Joe, you are 2 for 2. You are swinging hard. Here we go. Question three. According to the Legend of Zelda lore, Ganondorf or Ganon is the de facto antagonist for a lot of the game series and overall franchise. What race is he a part of from Hyrule? Is he a part of the Rito, the Gerudo, the Goron, or the Zora?
He is a Gerudo male, the first Gerudo male to be born in like generations.
Yeah,
I'm currently playing Tears of the Kingdom now.
that game fucking rules.
Yeah.
Um, Question four. Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy stars Will Ferrell as the titular newscaster. What was the name of his pet dog in the movie?
Oh God. Wait, I know this. Okay, because it gets kicked off the bridge, and then he screams its name. Um. Oh fuck. Okay. Um. It's two syllables.
I can give you
Is it
multiple
like
choice.
is it like Benson or something like that?
Mm,
Give me the multiple choice. Give me the
is
multiple
it
choice.
Buster, Baxter, or Beaver?
It's Baxter.
It's Baxter. Well
I,
done.
I I was in the ballpark. Okay.
You were there. Question 5. In campaign mode of the popular first-person shooter Halo, what is the proper order of difficulty ratings from least to most difficult? Is it easy, normal, hard, legendary? Is it easy, normal, legendary, heroic? Or is it easy, normal, heroic, legendary?
When I played Halo with my friends growing up, all we ever did was play like freestyle in Blood Gulch or like Desagulation Gulch or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just like spammed the rocket launcher because I wasn't good at video games. But I will go with your last one, which was easy, normal, heroic, legendary. I think
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well done. You were 5
that
for
makes sense.
5.
That
You
makes
are-
sense.
Yeah, right. I mean, who knows? Question 6. In the popular TTRPG Dungeons and Dragons, which we are both familiar with, there is a unique gameplay mechanic for high-level creatures that grant that creature in particular extra abilities outside of their turn in combat. What are they known as? Are they legendary
Those
actions?
are known as legendary actions.
God damn it. You got it.
Give me the multiple choice. I want to hear what you're saying.
Legendary action, legendary force, or legendary maneuver.
Oh,
Ooh, I was going to throw you for a loop, but no, you got it. 6 out of 6. Question 7. What biographical crime thriller from 2015 was adapted from the book The Profession of Violence, The Rise and Fall of the Cray Twins? Sorry.
I'm going to harken back to your text to me as I was about to watch this movie. You said, if you're watching Tom Hardy, you've gone too far. This is the movie Legend.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Question 8. The 47th book in the original Goosebumps series. What was the title of that book, which follows two siblings lost in the woods, filled with strange creatures and ancient Vikings? Is it Lost
I haven't read
Legends?
this, but it is Legend of the Lost Legend.
Yeah,
Justin, you got to let me answer before you give me multiple choice. I am on fire right now.
You are. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna give you multiple choice on these last two then.
Watch me regret it. Yeah.
You are instantly going to regret it. Number 9, in the 2007 zombie apocalyptic heartbreaker I Am Legend, again starring Will Smith, what was the virus scientists tried to genetically re-engineer in an attempt to cure cancer that resulted in affecting 99% of the population?
I'll give it a shot. I mean, is it like the common flu or whatever, the common cold?
No,
Is it smallpox?
no,
Okay, give me the choices.
it was measles.
It was measles.
Yeah,
Justin, did you have multiple choice?
I did, but
Justin,
you were so
goddamn it.
confident. You were so confident in it.
I
All
wouldn't
right.
have gotten measles. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But I'll still give that one to you because I kind of fucked you on the question. Last one. Internationally tolerated drag queen superstar Jinx Monsoon amassed 4 legendary legend stars in what season of the drag race competition?
Oh God.
You want the
You
multiple
know
choice?
I haven't seen
You want the
Drag
multiple
Race
choice?
yet. Yeah, give me the multiple choice.
Is it RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 7, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, or RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World?
I'm gonna say All Star 7.
You would be correct, Joe.
Is it really?
You did it. You did it. Well done. You
My
did
God.
incredibly well at that.
People call me legend.
I mean, they say Joe is legendary. Joe
Can
is
you
about
start
to.
calling me legend? Can you start that, please?
Are you gonna? Please, can you do that? I would like that very much. Please, I would. Are you gonna do like my pronouns are legend? So much fun. You did really well. Surprisingly, but not surprisingly, But yeah, so that was Legend from 1985, and concluding our Tim Curry series. Where are we going next month, Joe?
That's a great question that I probably need to look up.
You gonna defer to me because I got the calendar over here?
Why don't I defer to you?
Great. So February, we're going to be going on a jaunt to look at Baz Luhrmann,
Oh
the
man,
director.
I am so excited. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna look at Baz Luhrmann, the director. We have covered his movie Moulin Rouge last year as part of our musicals miniseries, and coming up. The episode that I'm going to talk about is a movie that is very near and dear to my heart. We're going to watch Strictly Ballroom, which is the first in his trilogy of, I think it's the Red Curtain
Yeah.
trilogy.
Yep.
And I mean, more on Justin's pick, but you can probably fill in the blanks following that.
Maybe. If you follow us on Instagram, you can see it.
We'll round off some stuff. Strictly Ballroom is one of his first movies. It's a mockumentary in Australia about a ballroom dance competition.
I can't wait.
And it's hilarious and fantastic.
I can't wait for it. It's going to be great. We're going to be talking about love. We're going to be talking about showmanship. It's going to be great. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on TikTok at Uncultured Universe, wherever you get all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Peace.